Hello and welcome to Nana's Crafty Home. My name is Tanya. Today's tutorial is going to show you how to work a picot stitch in different situations. So I'm going to show you how to work a picot within a project to give it a little bit of extra texture. And we're also going to talk about how to work different types of picots around a border, and also to talk about how you can experiment to create your own picot in your own unique look. For today's tutorial, I am using We Crochet's Knit Picks Comfy Worsted Weight yarn. This is a blend of 75% Pima cotton with 25% acrylic. Color is Seafoam and Ivory. I'm also using a Clover size H or a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. Let's go ahead and get started. So I've worked a base of single crochets, and for this sample I worked a foundation chain in multiples of 3 plus 1. Now bear in mind that when you're working picots, they can be worked after any kind of stitch. So I could do this after a single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet. That doesn't have to be worked in a single crochet stitch, but I'm just illustrating it and showing it in this video using the single crochet. When you work a picot, it can also be worked at any point in your pattern, but I wanted my picots to be evenly distributed throughout, so that's the reason why I'm working multiples of 3, so that way I can space my picots every third single crochet stitch. So to start a row of picots, I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet in those first 2 stitches. And in the next stitch, I'm going to work a single crochet plus a picot. So go ahead and just work your single crochet as you normally would, and now I'm going to go ahead and work a picot. And now for this picot, I'm going to be chaining 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can work any number of chains. You can slip stitch into any chain that you want. Just depends on what kind of finished picot you're looking for. For this sample, I'm going to be slip stitching into that 4th chain from the hook. So the very first chain that I made, I'm going to be slip stitching. And I'm going to be slip stitching into the chain with 2 of the loops on top of my hook. I'm not going to be working into that back bump. However, that is another option for you. Each of them look a little bit different. For this, I'm just going to be working as I would normally into a chain and slip stitch. And it creates this little bump. And then I'm going to single crochet in the next 2. And then single crochet picot in the next, and the picot is chaining 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, slip stitching into the 4th chain from the hook. And let's look at that. So you can see that it has created this little bump out from your single crochet stitch, just a little bit of extra texture, and when we work our next row, that bump is going to be more pronounced because it's going to stick out from our work. Right now it's just bumping out from the top, and that's why it makes it perfect for borders or edging, because it just gives this interesting little look around the outside edge. But I'm just going to be repeating those same steps throughout this row, single crocheting in the next 2 stitches, and I'm not skipping any stitches after I work that picot. I'm working my single crochet in the very next stitch, so that picot sticks out over top of those single crochet stitches. So this is the single crochet before I worked the picot, and this is the single crochet after I work the picot, and they're right next to each other. So I've worked the 2 after. I'm going to work the single crochet and picot in the next 1, 2, 3, and 4, slip stitch into that 4th chain, single crochet in the next 2, single crochet picot in the next. And then just continue that on down your row. So after I've worked that last picot, I'm going to single crochet in the last 3 stitches. So I'm going to have my picots evenly spaced throughout that row. And you can see if this were my border, how pretty that would be if I were just leaving it as is. But now I'm going to be turning and working back behind those picots. So turning, chaining 1, and now I'm going to just single crochet in every stitch. And when I get to that picot, I'm going to push it to the back of my work, so it'll end up being on the front side, the right side of my work, and working around it. Not skipping any stitches, working 1 single crochet in every stitch, in every single crochet stitch from that previous row, making sure that you are pushing those picots behind you as you are working. And you can see from the right side how that changed the look of those picots. And then I'm just going to be continuing that all the way down this row, working a single crochet in every stitch. Now that I have finished that row of single crochets back behind those picots, it really changed the look of my fabric. It brought these picots out to the front and created a little bump of texture to my fabric. I'm going to go ahead and work a couple rows of single crochet, and then we're going to work on a picot border. Now you can see I've worked several more rows of single crochet, adding in a few more rows of the picot stitch, which gave it this really interesting texture. And now we're going to talk about using picot stitches as borders and how many different kinds of picots there are. Really, the sky's the limit, but I'm just going to show you the differences between a few. I've changed the color to work my border, and I'm chaining 1, and I'm working a single crochet in those first 2 stitches. And now I'm going to show the difference between several different kinds. So I'm going to work the same picot that I worked within my project by chaining 4 and slip stitching into that 4th chain under both bumps or both loops. Single crochet in the next 2, single crochet picot in the next. And it's going to be a chain 4, so the same amount of chains, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to slip stitch into that 4th chain, but this time I'm going to do the slip stitch into the back bump of that chain. Single crochet in the next 2, single crochet picot in the next. And this time I'm going to chain 4 again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And instead of slip stitching, I'm going to work a single crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. And I'm going to work it in the back bump. Single crochet in the next 2. Single crochet picot in the next. And for this picot, I'm going to work it quite tall. So I'm going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to work a picot in the 3rd chain. So I'm going to work a slip stitch into that 3rd chain from the hook. And I'm going to work in the back bump. Chain 3, single crochet in the next stitch. And let's take a look at those. So this one was my same picot that I'd been working throughout my pattern, chaining 4, slip stitch into the 4th chain from the hook, working under both loops. This one is a chain 4, slip stitch into the 4th chain, but I worked in the back bump. And see, there's just a very slight difference between the first one and the second one. This one's slightly more rounded. This one has a little bit more of a point. And then this third one is a chain 4, and I worked a single crochet in that 4th chain. Again, it's rounded, but it's a little taller, a little fuller than this one here. And then this is my really tall picot. And this one was the chain 6, slip stitch into the back bump of the 3rd chain from the hook, and then chain 3 and single crochet in the next stitch. When you work these tall picots like this, you're going to want the same number of chains on the other side of your picot as you have unworked at the beginning. So we worked that picot at the top, leaving these 3 chains not worked. I wanted to work 3 chains at the end. Otherwise, you'd have this lopsided picot. You'd have these 3 chains and this picot over here right above a single crochet stitch, which would look odd. I mean, perhaps you have a project that would look great for, but typically you would want to have your picot at the top of your stitch, and so you'd want the same number of chains on both sides. Sometimes too, you'll want to skip a stitch in a situation like this. So let's say I skip a stitch and I work a single crochet in the next. That spreads that stitch out. And in that situation, I probably would want to chain 1 more chain in that instance to give the same height on the opposite side. And then single crochet in the next. And so see, I've got an even chain here because I worked 4 chains over here because I skipped a stitch, and my picot's at the top and it looks even. So there's all different kinds of things you can do with picots. They're very versatile, a lot of fun. You can practice, experiment. I hope you found this tutorial helpful today. Thanks so much for being with me. As always, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you never miss a new video. You can find all of my free patterns at nanascraftyhome.com. Be sure to sign up for my newsletter while you're there so you never miss a new pattern. Thanks everyone. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.